All right, boys and girls, how about today we talk about a motorcycle ride I took a few years back? Oh, by the way, welcome to. Well, you're not going to believe this. You don't know, obviously, because it's not recorded, but I just sat here and rambled on for 15 minutes and then looked up at the timer on the phone and realized that Elmer had not started recording. So, I'm going to try to run through all this again. Now I got to think. All right, boys and girls, let's give this a shot. This is your buddy Don with Elmer the Reckless Remote, who didn't start recording a few minutes ago. Thanks, Elmer. Please like, subscribe, and share, and hit the notifications bell, and do all that stuff. I could really. It helps me out tremendously. And what it does by y'all like, share, subscribe is it puts the videos, as far as I can tell, okay? What it does is it puts the videos out to more people so more people can watch them. And of course, the more time you get on the screen, the more time they give you on the screen. And it's good for the channel all the way around. So I appreciate very, very much those of you that have already done it. And I appreciate as much all the people who may go ahead and do it after they see this video. So let's get back to what I was talking about before I realized that the camera wasn't running. The record wasn't on, Elmer. Anyway, I've taken several motorcycle trips in my life. I've been fortunate, been able to do it. This one that I'm going to talk about today, well, let's start at the beginning of it. It's around 2000, between 2000 and 2005, somewhere in that area, I would reckon. I was working at the shop and working at a motorcycle shop. It was a motorcycle shop salvage yard. And a guy came in with a Kawasaki Voyager, needed a back tire pretty bad. He came with a Kawasaki Voyager, and in the process of working with this guy, he said he wanted to sell the bike. The story that he gave me was he was from Oregon. He and his wife had a divorce, evidently, that was pretty hard on him. And he decided what he was going to do was he was going to sell everything he owned and jump on the motorcycle and just go live on the motorcycle the rest of his life. Well, he went from Oregon to Louisiana. When he got to Louisiana, he was at a gas station getting gas. And somebody walked up to him and said, "Hey, man, you need to put a back tire on that thing." And he went back there and looked. He said it never occurred to him to look at the tires. He never did. So then when he saw how bad it was, he brought it over to the shop. That's why he was there, was for a back tire. But he said he wanted to sell it. He said he was tired of sitting on it, wanted to sell it. Said he wanted $2,000 for it. Now, I'm going to tell you something. That was a pearl white, I don't remember what year it was. It wasn't more than about 5 or 6 years old at the most. Probably not even that old. I don't remember what year it was. But anyhow, that was a deal. I couldn't pass that up. Now, the guy's from Oregon. He doesn't have the title with him. How am I going to buy the bike from him? What we did was I paid him $1,000. He said what he was going to do was take a train and ride the train and go back to Oregon. So I gave him $1,000. He went back to Oregon. I told him, I'll send you the rest of the money when I get the title. And so he sent me the title, and I sent him the rest of the money. Fair is fair. So I got licensed and all that stuff, and had a brand new back tire. The bike didn't really need any work. I think maybe I changed the oil. That was pretty much it. Checked the brake pads, stuff like that. And I was at work one day. I was riding it back and forth to work. I loved it. I was at work one day, and there was this guy was talking about a campground. I think it's in Tennessee. I can't be for sure. I think it's in Tennessee. It's called Two Wheels Only. TWO, Two Wheels Only Motorcycle Campground. Campground specifically designed for motorcycle people. Now, I am not a camping guy, okay? I am a soft bed, hot shower, big TV, air conditioning, hotel room guy, okay? Especially when you've been on a bike all day, because I got news for you. It's tough out there on the motorcycle all day. If you don't believe me, ride on the roof of your car for a few hundred miles and see. Don't really do that, please. Don't do that. It's a joke. I'm kidding. Don't do it. Anyhow, so I decided, talking to that guy, he made it sound like it was really nice. He says, only 500 miles, so getting there in a day is pretty easy. So I decided, next time I had a little time off work, I'm going. So it came to be Memorial Day weekend. And I was off on Mondays anyway. And I think that was a Friday holiday. I don't remember exactly how, but I ended up with 4 days off, I think. So I loaded up all my camping stuff. I had camping stuff, because back then I would actually do it. I loaded up all the camping stuff, threw it all on the bike, and early in the morning, Memorial Day weekend, whatever morning it was Thursday or Friday or whatever day it was, I jumped on the bike and started heading out. I had already mapped out where I needed to go to the exit, and so that was, I was just concentrating on getting to the name of getting to that exit, wherever it was. So I jump on the bike, and it is freezing cold outside. It had to be a record low for Memorial Day weekend. Usually Memorial Day weekend's pretty warm, but it was cold, like in the 40s, okay? And I'm blasting down the road at 80 miles an hour, freezing to death. I couldn't feel my hands after a while. And I thought about that and thought to myself, when you're in the car, in an automobile, there's slight room for error, okay? On a motorcycle, there's no room for error. There's no space, no free space, should we call it. So when my hands went numb after a while, I thought to myself that if I've got to do something quick here, I might not be able to do it. So I pulled into a gas station. I took the gloves off and stuck them down on the motor of the motorcycle and put gas in it while I was there, let the gloves heat up. And I think I ended up doing that a couple of times that day, just so I could keep my hands awake, in case I needed to do something quick. The weather was absolutely beautifully crystal clear, blue sky, but it was cold. So I'm watching the odometer, because it's a 500-mile trip. And I know how long I'm going to be on the road. I'm timing it. And so cruise along. I get to the exit, and the exit off the interstate was right at 500 miles. What them guys didn't tell me was that, yes, it was 500 miles to the exit off the interstate. Then it was 167 miles of lonely back roads. Twisty, turny, hilly, holy, slow traffic, tractors, loose cattle. And that took a long time to cover those last 167 miles. In the midst of covering that, it started getting dark. Dark was coming, evening was coming, and temperature had dropped quite a bit. And I was freezing my butt off. Hang on just a minute. By the time I got to the campground and went in there, they had a little building you go and check in. It was right at just about dark, right? You could still see, but you couldn't see them very well. And there's no outdoor lighting at the place other than the parking lot. So they told me where to go. They said, go over that way, just pick a spot, let us know where you go. So I did. So I pull up in there with the bike, and I put the kickstand down, and I am freezing my butt off. And I still got to get out all the stuff. I haven't had dinner yet. I haven't set up the tent. I haven't got the tent out of the bike. I have nothing. I got nothing, right? So I pull up there. I put the side stand down, get off the bike, stretch out for a minute. And about 15 feet away from me is these two guys that had this big old blazing campfire going. Well, you got a campfire in that situation, I am your friend, okay? So I go over there and talk to them guys. Hey man, can I come stand by your fire for a minute? And lo and behold, many, 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 many years ago, back in the early 80s, I had met a guy by the name of Max. Max was from Mississippi, southern Mississippi, Tupelo area, I think. He had a hardcore Mississippi accent. He had a very distinct mustache and long hair, and he still had it. That was him and one of his buddies that was standing at the campfire. So after 20 some years of not seeing this guy, I looked at him, I said, Max, I ain't seen you in a long time. And he looked at me and he said, Don, man, I don't never know what ever happened to you. We got along great. I ended up eating some of their dinner. I had the campfire to use all night if I wanted to. I got my tent out, set it up, and we sat around laughing and joking and enjoying a few drinks and just having a good time. Woke up the next morning, went down to the building to go let them know where I was, which spot I was staying in. They had breakfast going on. They came with with the price of the campsite, so that was really good because I froze my butt off all night because it was cold. That morning, it was another absolutely beautiful, crystal clear day, but it warmed up. It warmed up enough to be denim jacket, no gloves, riding weather. And I spent the day cruising around through the Tennessee hills, the Appalachian Mountains, just cruising the back roads, just riding along. And I'll tell you, the roads were in fantastic condition. They were like a piece of black ribbon with a yellow stripe down the middle that someone had held up over the mountains and then just dropped it. And it floated down and laid out among those hills, curvy and windy, and it was fantastic. The weather was beautiful. There was a bunch of little towns here and there scattered around. Touristy area, but I enjoyed that so much. And for that day, I think the next day, been a long time now, that day and I think the next day too, that's what I did. I just went cruising. Around. And it was time to think about heading back to Baton Rouge. So, said goodbye to Max, jumped in my tent, went to sleep kind of early, thinking that I got to get up early and get out of here because it's not 500 miles, it's 667. And that first 167 miles getting out to the interstate was going to be pretty tough. So, in the middle of the night, there was a little bit of change in the weather. And I know there was a little bit of change in the weather because I was laying in the tent asleep when I suddenly felt wet and cold, which woke me up. Yes, it was raining like crazy outside. Water was coming up through the flimsy little floor of the tent, and I was in the midst of getting all wet. Got to pause it here because I'm running out of time. Sit tight just a minute. We don't have to do part one and part two. I can edit it back together, but I can't record over a certain amount of time on the phone. Hold on. All right, that time Ellen remembered to restart it, and it's only been a couple seconds. So I got soaking. I woke up middle of the night wet. Well, it was too dark and too nasty outside to go anywhere. So I kind of moved off to the end of the tent that was drier and did the best I could to sleep a little bit. When it started getting light outside, it was still pretty nasty. The weather was still pretty bad, and it was cold, probably back into the 40s. And it was raining, and everything I owned was wet. So I still have to go. I can't sit there for 2 or 3 days waiting for the weather to change and you know, wait for a better time to ride. I have to go back to Baton Rouge. So I got up, put on my rain suit and everything inside the tent, went outside in the pouring rain, packed everything back in the bike best I could, wet. Took the tent, folded it up, stuck it in the trash can, said, see you later to Max and his buddy, who were both sitting in their tent. I could hear them in there talking. They're smart enough not to come out. And I jumped on that Voyager and I proceeded to head back to Baton Rouge. And it proceeded to rain so hard that, well, I'll put it to you this way. On a lot of the corners in the roads, you know, the road is flat, right? There's a hill on the side right here. All the dirt, mud, and rocks and stuff had washed down the hills and was on the road in the corner. Again, there's no room for air on a motorcycle. You hit it with your car, whoa, geez, that was rough. And motorcycle, you just go down. So I had to be very careful, which means that 167 miles took much longer on the way home than it did on the way there. By the time I got back out to the interstate, I was shivering. Everything was soaking wet. It was still raining like crazy. I stopped, filled up the bike, got on the interstate, and rolled the throttle back. It's time to go. And the further south I got, the warmer it got, and the skies cleared up and it quit raining, and the roads got dry. By the time I got to Birmingham, Alabama, it was about 87, no, more than that. It was about 95 degrees with 100% humidity. And when I stopped to put gas in the bike and peel off the rain suit, I was sweating. By the time I got back to Baton Rouge, the weather was absolutely beautiful, and I had pretty much dried out. Dried out except for my feet, my shoes, boots didn't dry out. I didn't have a pair of waterproof riding boots then. I bought a pair after that because I wasn't having that happen again. But it was a wonderful, wonderful ride. And there's a whole bunch of things I wish I'd have done when I was there. You know, one thing that you learn as you grow older, one thing that you learn is you better do whatever you're going to do now. Because if you say, well, I can't do that right now, I'll be sure to come back and do it, you're never going to go back. You're not going to have time to go back. And if you do have time to go back, you're not going to want to go back to the same place, right? Because there's other places in the world to visit. I'm going to tell you, this just popped into my head. I spent a lot of time on that Voyager. My brother was living in San Antonio, and he's a motorcycle guy too, you know. And we spent a lot of time, he and I, riding the hill country, Texas hill country. You ever been to Luckenbach, Texas? I'm interrupting myself. You ever been to Luckenbach, Texas? You know that song, let's go to Luckenbach, Texas, right? I can't sing, so I've been to Luckenbach a few times. Now, how big of a town would you imagine Luckenbach is? I usually do town sizes by traffic lights. How many traffic lights you reckon they got in Luckenbach, Texas? Well, I'm going to tell you, they have no traffic lights in Luckenbach, Texas. Luckenbach, Texas is a little curve in the road with a speed bump and a mailbox. Luckenbach, Texas, last time I went, doesn't even have a stop sign. There's a little sign that says Luckenbach. Maybe I can find one and put a picture. That would be up here, wouldn't it? Put a picture. Maybe I can put a picture. I'll try to get a picture. Luckenbach. and you follow that sign, and there's a little curve in the road where they have a dance hall, which is not that old. They have a little boys' room, little girls' room, outhouse type thing, which is not that old. They have something else there too. Oh, they've got a ring of tree stumps with another couple of stumps in the middle, which is where people go sit to listen to music. That's not that old either, because the tree stumps wouldn't last that long, I don't reckon. But they do have one thing that is very, very old. Two things that are very, very old. There's one building that I'm assuming is still original to the construction of Luckenbach. By the way, Luckenbach, Texas at 10 o'clock at night, you have to leave town. Luckenbach closes at 10 o'clock at night. Period. Done. Out. Go. No camping, no overnight parking, no nothing. You gotta leave. Now there's campsites, campgrounds, fairly close to there, but you don't stay in Luckenbach. You go home. Anyway, there's one building that may very well be original to the original construction, which is converted into a post office. So the whole front of the building is a country store post office. I think it's a post office. Pretty sure. Country store post office. And on the back of the building, there's these two windows that are covered. They open up like this. There's no glass. It's just a wooden shutter. They open them up like this, put the chains to hold them out like that. And there's a bar. That's a bar there. And you go buy your beer, which is all they sell, is beer. I believe it's, I think it's cans or bottles. I don't remember now. Nobody throws anything on the ground in Luckenbach. So I think it's cans and bottles. I do have some pictures of Luckenbach somewhere. I'm going to see if I can round them up and put them in here in the video. And then what everybody does is they go sit around that ring of tree stumps. Everybody goes and sits there. And ever who's playing that day, which could be anybody. I mean, it could be anybody from me, never done it, but I'm just using myself as an example. Could be anybody from me to Willie Nelson or Waylon Jennings or Johnny Cash, or because people like that would just, Luckenbach is such a cool place, really, is the only way to put it, that guys like that would show up over there whenever they felt like it. So as you're sitting there listening, and they just bring their guitar and play, nobody gets paid, there's no cowboy hat to put the money in, nothing like that. You just sit there and play. So as you're sitting there enjoying your adult beverage, ice cold adult beverage, I'll add, the person that's sitting there playing music could be anyone. I mean, there are millions of people who are very, very famous musicians that you couldn't pick out of a crowd if they were standing there by themselves, because they're the behind the scenes people. They're not the person with their face on the album cover, right? They're the backup musicians, they're the studio guys, they're roadies, they're all kind of stuff, but you never know who's going to play there. So it's really, really fun. Luckenbach. Yeah, we had a lot of fun riding around in those hills. And I rode back and forth on the Voyager. You know, it's 585 miles, or 535, I don't remember now. But it's 500 and some miles from here to, from Baton Rouge to San Antonio. And that's kind of San Antonio is kind of the eastern edge of the hill country. It's absolutely beautiful out there. It's really something. There's a lot of fossilized stuff, a lot of fossilized wood, fossilized trees out there, which is pretty cool. A lot of open range grazing as well, which means that you're driving down this little country road going somewhere, and there's 500 sheep in the street. And sheep, I learned, don't really care about motorcycles, and they don't really care about you. What they care about is standing on the street looking at you, making a stupid face, and not having the sense to get out of the way. So you have to go through the crowd real slow. I have done it. It's spooky. First of all, you don't want to hurt the animals. The motorcycle's hot. Because if you hurt one, you might get him mad. And if he gets mad at you, who knows, he might jump on the back seat. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not a goat guy. You know, I was in New Orleans one time down on Bourbon Street. A long time. It was back when I had the CBX. It was a long time ago. 1979, 1980, something like that. Maybe I might have been 81, 82. I don't remember now. And I rode through a crowd of people on the motorcycle under 1 mile an hour. The crowd was having a hard time dispersing, even though me and my buddy were blowing the horn every once in a while. He was right up ahead of me, and I couldn't see him because we were going right through a crowd of people. Hang on a second. That was scary. It's also scary parking your motorcycle in New Orleans, because it ain't hard to, back then especially, not hard to steal a motorcycle. And I was riding a extremely desirable bike. The CBX was an extremely desirable model. I was nervous. I would park it outside of where I was, and I would stay there. And then if we decided to go somewhere else, I'd bring the bike with me. I didn't leave it parked. Well, I did leave it parked. Or actually, that's not true. The guy, I went to a parking tower, said, "Can we park our motorcycles here?" And the guy said, "Sure." He said, "Just jump off there, leave it running. I'll go park it for you." I don't think so. I don't think that's gonna happen. If you ever want something bent, broken, stolen, or lost, just let somebody else use it. This video is getting kind of long-winded too. Maybe I'll go ahead and break it. Anyway, so there's a little bit of storytelling, talking, and running my mouth. Thank you very much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, share, and do all that kind of stuff. The channel could really use it right now. Trying to get back into the good graces of the algorithm. And thank you very much for being here. I appreciate your choosing to spend time with me. And I really do appreciate it. Elmer, how many clicks is it going to take you, brother? Oops.